with industrial properties, leases are key, because technically what you're buying is you're buying a bunch of leases. That's what I'm buying, because these are promissory notes, essentially, saying that I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money for X amount of years, as well as I'm also going to pay you or not pay you for all the utilities, common area maintenance, taxes, insurances, and everything else. I'm buying promissory notes, essentially. That's what leases are, right? It really matters what those leases look like. Let me give you an example. Let's just take let's just take this this industrial property I was talking to this guy, okay? It was 24,000 square feet, but I'll say 20,000 just for quick numbers. 20,000 square feet, industrial building, warehouse, okay? So that means, it's got a couple drive-in, loading docks, most of it's warehouse, 20-foot ceilings, not a lot, maybe 2,000 square feet of office. But we'll talk about all that in a minute. I just want to talk about leases for a second. Let's just say the whole building, I'm going to give you 3 examples, okay? Think about how crazy, because they could all be different. 20,000 square foot building. All of them are generating $200,000 a year in income, okay? 3 buildings, all $200,000 a year in income, all 20,000 square feet, all the same exact layout. Watch what's interesting about this, ready? Building number 1 is one single owner occupant tenant. That's who you're speaking to. It's an occupant of the building, one single tenant. They're paying $200,000 a year on the building right now. They want to sell the building. This is an owner occupant. They want to sell the building. They want to sell the building and they want to leave, okay? But they're paying $200,000 a year right now. Building number 2 is a single tenant, same exact situation, but it's just a tenant, not the owner occupant, okay? This single tenant pays $200,000 a year. They have a lease right now that is a triple net lease. Triple net lease, which means they pay all the expenses, taxes, the insurance, common area maintenance, any issues that come up with the property. So they're paying $200,000 a year, triple net. Then you have the third building. It has 10 different tenants, all renting about 2,000 square feet. They're all on gross leases. They only pay a flat rate. Okay, call it $20,000 a year, 10 tenants, $20,000 a year, gross. So that means that the owner of the building, or that might be us, right, to buy it, pays all the expenses. So $200,000 a year gross. It's all $200,000 a year, but they're all valued very differently. The building that's owner occupied, where you're going to be now buying a vacant building, that might be paying $200,000 a year right now, but upon closing, they're going to be leaving. Or even if they wanted to lease it back for 1 year, because they needed maybe 6 months to a year to leave, that building will now be worth a different amount of money, right? Be valued slightly differently than building number 2, which is $200,000 a year, triple net. Which means the net income, the NOI, is $200,000 a year, right? And let's just say those leases, that because it's a single tenant lease, let's say that single tenant, for whatever reason, is Prologis, okay? I know Prologis is going to be in a very different, Prologis, the largest logistics company in the world. For whatever reason, they don't own this building. They typically own everything. But I'm just trying to say a very, very, Fortune 500 company, and let's say they signed a 20-year lease. Triple net, very different valuation than the first one, and also a very different valuation than the third building, because they're all generating $200,000 a year in gross income. Let's just say all my taxes, my insurance, my common area maintenance, some utility costs, right? Let's say all that broken down is $80,000. I'm only netting $120,000 a year. That all being said, all of a sudden these buildings they're identical buildings. They all earn $200,000 a year today, but they're all valued very differently. And that's all because of how the lease structure is.